Hi, everyone. I can't believe that it's Friday already. It seems like this week went by pretty quickly. It really has been pretty busy as far as lots of snow, and I think that we got a little over 2 feet of snow. So that was not a whole lot of work for me, but definitely some whole lot of work for my husband, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate him. And so that's actually what I wanted to talk to you about this week, about husbands and how many times as wives, meaning us, forget about how wonderful and amazing our husbands are. I know there are some women out there who don't necessarily feel like they have that person in their life that they're married to, but I definitely can say that I do. And I think that oftentimes we as women forget and fail to remember all the things that our husbands do for us. And I know for myself that I do that sometimes as well. And I'm reminded this week with all of the snow and all of the hard work that my husband has done outside. It's amazing. And oftentimes we can't say that our husbands even go so far to clean the house. My husband does. My husband washes the dishes, he does the clothes, and then you probably ask, what in the world do you do? We do have split housework. I do pretty much the rest of the cleaning, and he focuses on the clothes and the dishes and the taking out of garbage, and I'm focusing on sweeping and dusting and obviously taking care of our baby girl as well as him. And I think it's important for us to remember that we need to be thankful for the men in our life. There are many households who are fatherless, who only have a mother and are missing a father in the home. And that's not obviously a good thing. And it's tough on women to be able to take care of their children on their own. And I know from my experience as a child, I know that it was tough for my mom, but she did a good job. But I can't imagine doing it on my own. And I can't imagine being that mom who would have to go through that, doing that. And I'm so incredibly thankful for my husband. And I hope that you are too. And maybe your children are grown up and they're not in the home and it's just you and your husband. Ask yourself, what is it that I can do to help my husband? And maybe you have a husband who your relationship has changed after your children have grown up. There is this movie, it's Fireproof actually, and it's by Kirk Cameron is in it, and I really enjoyed it because it just reminded me of this. Salt and pepper are a good example of a marriage. And when you take a salt and pepper shaker and you glue it together, it's an image that they did in the movie. If it's built on Christ, it's solid, it's very uneasily broken. When we surround our love through Christ, it binds us and brings us together. And when I think of salt and pepper, and that actually it was the topper that I used on our wedding cake when we got married, because it just reminded me of salt and light. The Lord is just bringing us together as a couple, Tom and I, through the midst of all the struggles that we've had. And don't get me wrong, we all get upset with our husbands, and even I probably have yelled at him a few times, and vice versa. But at the end of the day, I cannot thank the Lord enough for putting Tom in my life. I never thought that he would be brought back into my life 12 years later after I had broken up with him. It was a rough time in my life, and it was the time when my nephew was in an accident. It was a time where I thought my job would be moving to another state. But little did I know, through prayer and asking the Lord to bring back Tom, I would have never thought that he would have brought him back to me. But he did, and I am so incredibly thankful for that, because he has been an absolute blessing and definitely worth waiting for. We may not have a child that is biological, but we're soon, through the grace of God, going to adopt a beautiful little baby girl of whom we love so dearly, and we couldn't think of her more than our own. And that again is God who has done that. When we go through difficult times, we don't think about it as we're going through it, what the Lord is going to use good out of that. But I truly believe that no matter what we go through, what the devil meant for harm, God will use for good. We just have to focus on him and seek him and only him, because without him, honestly, I know that I would be lost and I would still feel that burden. But I don't. I don't feel the burden of the loss of our child. I know where our child is. Isaiah is the name that we gave him. He is with Jesus in heaven, and someday we will meet him. But as right now here on earth, the Lord has given us a beautiful little girl that I truly believe in answer to prayer. He ordained it to happen, and I believe without a shadow of a doubt that we will be able to adopt her with no problems whatsoever. And that is God. It's all God. We didn't seek out for it. He pretty much put her right in our hands. And I truly believe that the Lord ordained that. And so I ask you, or I should say, I can't really ask you since you're listening to me, but if there is something that you're going through and you're just not understanding the why behind it, or you've prayed and prayed and prayed and it just hasn't passed, maybe that's not the will of God for your life. And sometimes we're praying for someone to not be sick anymore, but maybe it's the will for the Lord to bring them home so that they aren't suffering, or whatever it is that you're praying for. Just be mindful that sometimes what we want is not what we will get, and that's okay. The Lord will help us through it, and eventually we will see the reason behind it. And so I really hope that you just pause this week and really think about that thing or person or whatever it is that you are praying for, that you just give it to God and trust in his will and only his will. Have a great week.